Former Virginia Senator Jim Webb is the latest Democrat to enter the presidential race. He wants a fresh approach to problem solving in Washington. Webb is a decorated Vietnam War veteran. He was Secretary of the Navy under President Ronald Reagan and most recently served one term as a U.S. Senator. He joins us now for his first interview since announcing his candidacy last week. Senator, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the race.
Yeah, thank you.
Off and running.
We've been at the edges of it for several months. It's nice to be in it.
I want to ask you about some of the headlines of the day. We learned today that South Carolina is going to remove the Confederate flag. Are you glad to see it gone?
Well, I think it's long been due to come down. The Confederate battle flag was a battle flag. It assumed a lot of unfortunate racist and divisionist overtones during the civil rights era. At the same time, I've been trying to reinforce that we need to remember two other parts of our history here. One is the very complex history of the Civil War itself, where in John Hope Franklin's own numbers, the most eminent African-American historian, only 5% of the whites in the South owned slaves, and only 25% of the whites in the South had anything to do economically, while at the same time, there were 4 slave states that remained in the Union during the Civil War: Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware. And so if you were a young person being called to duty during that period, this was a very complicated decision to make, and we should remember that.
Is that why you didn't call for its immediate removal right after the church massacre?
Actually, I did say that it did not belong in public places, but what my concern was that this would go beyond the issues of harmony and unity that we want to keep on the table and into issues that again divide us. I think we've seen a great a sense of growth of unity in the American South since the civil rights era, and it's the South has never been white against black per se. It's always been a small veneer manipulating the emotions of white against black for all these other reasons. And we need to look at jobs. We need to look at education. We need to look at harmony and bringing people together. And that's what I hope we don't lose with this.
Senator, you don't have a PAC and you don't seem to want to take PAC money. How are you going to be a contender in this race, given how important money is now in politics?
Well, what I've said is I don't have a super PAC. I don't want a super PAC where you have people can give us $2,700 or they can contribute to a PAC of $5,000. But with these super PACs, you can come in and write a $27 million check. And my point has been that if that ethically bothers you, then don't do it. Just say you won't directly participate. And a lot of these other candidates have actually directly participated in this action that I think goes against the grain of what we are as a democracy.
But what's your path to victory? I mean, how do you run against a juggernaut like Hillary Clinton's campaign? And what's your main argument against her being president of the United States?
Well, I don't have a main argument against anyone who's running. I think we all should put our issues on the table and let the American people decide. But I don't think you need $2.5 billion to become president of the United States. I think, and if you're going to get $2.5 billion, let people contribute in the right way. This super PAC concept, I've read Citizens United, and it talks about independence. If you're going to have something like that, it should be independent from a political campaign, and we're not seeing that. And if ethically that bothers you, don't say that you're going to support a constitutional amendment 4 years from now. Just say you don't want to participate.
You said that you're not against Hillary Clinton, so I want to ask you about a specific comment. You said the U.S. has not had a clear articulation of what American foreign policy is. Does that include the time that she was Secretary of State?
I believe that since the end of the Cold War, and particularly since 9/11, we have had a foreign policy that's been based on situational ethics. I've been a strong proponent of how the United States military can connect around the world. We are the guarantor of stability in East Asia. I've been talking about this since I was first over there as a Marine. I worked as a military planner in East Asia. We led, I think fairly can be said, we led this pivot toward Asia in our office, in our Senate office, 2 years before the president was elected.
Let's talk then about specific issues.
Right?
Let's talk then about specific issues. Iran. The president of the United States just said the odds of an Iran deal are now less than 50-50. Should we be going forward with the deal that Secretary Kerry is pursuing?
I am very concerned about any agreement that would acquiesce to the idea that Iran would eventually acquire nuclear weapons. We want better relations with Iran. I've said this many times over the years. But since the Iraq War, with the fallout of the Iraq War and then the Arab Spring, Iran has been much more active in this region, and we don't want to send the wrong signals to our allies and others in the region that we are like acquiescing to the greater power that Iran has. So I don't see that there's a hurry here with respect to the agreement with Iran, and I wouldn't want to support any agreement that was acquiescing in their actually acquiring nuclear weapons over time.
All right. Senator Webb, thank you very much for being with us. Good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. Good to be with you.